Today we have a special interview with a member of the two-time Pulitzer Prize-winning team, columnist and photojournalist Hyungwon Kang. He grew up in the United States and spent more than 30 years as a photojournalist in mainstream US media. But after retiring in 2019, he's been documenting and promoting Korean history and culture globally. And in 2022, he published a book called Visual History of Korea. Through storytelling photography, it sheds light on Korean history and culture, spanning from prehistoric times through to the Bronze Age and the Iron Age to modern times as well. And last month, he published a revised and expanded edition to mark the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japanese colonial rule. And I'm glad to say that he joins us in the studio today to tell us more about the book, his career as a journalist and more, photojournalist and columnist. Hyungwon Kang, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, Mr. Kang, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Let's get straight into it and start with your recently republished book. In it, you said photography is a good medium for conveying Korea's history and culture. Can you tell us more about the book and how it came to be?
Photography is the universal language that all people can understand. And from the prehistoric times, people have been drawing pictures. First as a rock art, petroglyphs, and then eventually it became printed books. Korea is known for its publishing books in the Joseon dynasty, where they standardized printing with the 200 word template. Only country in the world that came up with the 200 word template, which Koreans still use to write their essays. And in the 21st century, my ability as a photojournalist, naturally, I am putting my skill to put to use to basically document Korean ancient history and culture for the English language and the rest of the world, the area of knowledge that they're not familiar with. And I do that with pictures.
Right, so for you, it's almost, you felt like it was your duty then to try and tell the world more about Korean history and culture.
Yes, of course. All my life, I've been a photojournalist as a career, but in my later years, I realized for my legacy, what am I going to leave for the next and the subsequent generations? And I was thinking, what's lacking in English-speaking media is knowledge and content about Korean history and culture to understand better about this part of the world.
It's a pretty incredible book. I have it with me now. It covers pretty much the entire span of Korean history, a sort of a mini encyclopedia of Korean history and culture, I would say, looking at everything from ancient artifacts to Buddhist artifacts to even Korean tigers and dogs. And all the photos were taken by yourself, I understand?
Of course. Basically, it's a collection of Korean identity. Basically, for a Korean person to say, I am Korean, that person should know at least minimum what's in that book.
Right.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's incredible because the range of photos, I think, is pretty incredible as well, from photos of artifacts to landscape to portraits and even wildlife photography. I think it clearly shows that you're a master of your craft as well.
Yeah, it definitely reflects my range as a photojournalist. And it also, I just wanted to emphasize how significant it is that we pay attention to wildlife in Korea, because tigers make up, or they complete the food chain in our surroundings. Yet Korea was denied of that completion of food chain since 1924, when Japanese colonizers basically hunt Korean tigers out of extinction. Yeah, and I come back to Korea in the 21st century now, and I'm seeing so much problematic mountains and farmlands due to wildlife that is incomplete because there's no top predator that's controlling the population of the wild boars and, of course, the deer that's just rampant in Korean mountains right now.
Right. So again, the wide range of interests that you have as well, even looking at the ecology, that's pretty incredible. And the book not only features photographs, but I think very importantly, it provides explanations in both Korean and English. I feel like this was important to you, right? Can you tell us more about that decision?
Well, I have 3 sons who were born in the States. And I, of course, know hundreds and thousands of Korean Americans whose primary language is English. And I just wanted them to have access to a knowledge base that they can be familiar with and that they can call it a part of their own when they think about their identity.
I think I also saw somewhere that it's also born out of frustration because you've seen Korean culture and history misrepresented or at least expressed awkwardly in a lot of English language material as well.
Yeah, the absence of knowledge about Korean history and culture is prevalent in anywhere outside of Korea. And then, of course, there's been plenty of political distortions about Korean history in the 20th century and since then. And I just wanted to set the record straight as an objective American journalist what Korea really is and how it should be seen.
Has there been any particularly egregious case of bad English descriptions or explanations of Korean history or culture that you remember?
Well, for one thing, Koreans have made significant contributions in every stage of human innovation, from the Bronze Age to the Metal Age, Iron Age, and to the printing age, and of course the high-tech stuff that we have now. Every stage of the way, Koreans have proven distinctive innovations along the way that made them the first and probably the best of its kind at each of those moments, including the metal type printing. And the Korea, if you look at the history, in the very recent 500 years of Joseon dynasty, the institutionalized political system basically made the owner of the country, the king, not the sole decision makers. The kings were there, but it was the sunbi class, the educated elites, who dictated how the country goes. And that balance between the monarch and the ruling elite class of educated sunbis, it allowed the longevity of Korea for 500 years, where no country around that time had that lengthy, continuous monarchy system successfully executed, except Koreans. Right. So if you look at those, the Korean minds, right, the Korean spirit, the philosophy that defines our culture, there's definitely some strength that explains the academic strengths that the modern Koreans have when they engage in academics, right, and in their researches. And I just wanted to explain, the rise and the popularity of the K-pop around the world has basis in these previous millennia of discipline, the value system that they have kept, right, and the continuity that has gone on for the last 5,000 years without disappearing into oblivion, like other cultures.
So that's, I'm guessing, what you want readers to take away from this book, that Korea has an innovative and rich history. And as you said, this book comes at a time when there's been an explosion of interest in Korea and Korean culture in recent years. I imagine that's something that would have been pleasantly surprising for you as well. But still, I feel like you want people to know more about Korea.
Exactly. I mean, for me as a journalist, covering Korean stories is a discovery process. I'm finding pieces of puzzles that explains, this is why Koreans are doing the things way they do. But when I put those puzzles together, it completes a near perfect picture of a civilization that has led human development and progress throughout the years and behind all of those, there were Koreans. Yeah.
Right. It seems like another apt word to describe you would be an ambassador to Korea and Korean culture as well, to the rest of the world. And just to talk a little bit more about your personal story as well. You worked as a photojournalist in mainstream US media, as I said, for over 3 decades. And throughout your career, you had some amazing work. As I said, you won 2 Pulitzer Prizes as a member of the team in '93 covering the LA riots the year before, and then in '99 for the coverage of the Lewinsky scandal and the impeachment of President Bill Clinton. You were, in fact, the first Korean to win the Pulitzer Prize, and you won it twice. Can you tell us about that time? What was it like to report on those events and be recognized for your work?
Well, in American journalism, a lot of people start out in journalism career, but most people don't stay in journalism because it is so competitive. And for me, it was just knowing that every day the story that I was covering and the people that are in front of me were the most important thing in life. That was my attitude. And I was basically oblivious that there was even a Pulitzer Prize, options available in our career. That was something that my employers applied for, and they got those recognitions. For me, it was just a matter of winning every day, competing with other journalists within my company as well as with competitive media companies. Every story I covered, and for that, I was recognized for my hard work. Yeah.
And you must have gotten a lot of recognition from Korea as well. I'm sure in Korea they would have been celebrating your win as well.
Yeah, Koreans are somewhat, they have a description in Korean that the arm only bends inward. And anytime they find out that you are Korean or a person of Korean descent, you naturally become closer to them, and they take you in as one of their own, and that's a special feeling. Whenever I visit Korea, to see a sea of people who all look like me or similar to me, and that the people who accept and accommodate me for who I am without judging, or without the absence of knowledge about what Korea, what's that kind of attitude that I run into outside of of Korea. Yeah.
What advice would you give to photographers, especially young photographers starting out today? I imagine the landscape is very different from when you were starting out.
Yes, indeed. In my generation, back in the 1980s, when I got started in photojournalism, your ability to manually focus a moving object was primary necessary skill set in order to be a photographer. Number one. Number two, to be able to control exposure and control the depth of field in every picture, and also knowing what type of shutter speed to use, either to stop a movement or show a movement in a picture. Those are primary skills that we had to master. But the photographers in the 21st century now are gifted with autofocus and auto exposure cameras, which does a lot of that, but it's inadequate in that unless the photographer knows how to use the equipment to learn to control the depth of field and to be able to show movement in a picture, that picture is not a professional picture. So for anybody who wants to become a professional photojournalist, they need to learn to master how to photograph each situation with the appropriate amount of depth of field, as well as appropriate amount of movement that you want to either show or not show in your picture. This is not to mention composition, the artistic visual storytelling, and the interesting moment and a peak moment, and those are all prerequisites to be a good photograph.
Right.
Yeah.
We're approaching the end of our time, so just to wrap up, do you have any other upcoming projects? I know you're retired now, but still, you seem to be very busy and be very motivated to want to achieve more. What do you still want to achieve?
Well, I like to continue to deliver lectures to educate people about the Korean identity and about the damages that the 20th century colonialism left us, including basically dismantling Korean Hangul language into what it is now, just 24 vowels and consonants. There used to be 28 plus additional 5 vowels and the consonants that we were able to use to be able to more closely write the pronunciations that do not exist in Korean language. For example, English pronunciation V as in very, very nice. There are alphabets in Hangul, Hunminjeongeum, that are capable of doing all that, which was denied to Koreans during the 20th century education. So I've been researching that and been lecturing about those. I'd like to be able to continue to do that. And then Korea is a Sunbi country. Korea is the only country in the world that can claim to be a Sunbi country. And people say, well, Sunbi, what's that? Well, Sunbi is a learned person, somebody who is intellectual, but who also seeks sainthood, be morally pure and take the right path in life. Yeah. So I'm working on a book on Sunbi right now. So that should be coming pretty soon. Yeah.
Great, something to look forward to as well. Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time today and for sharing your story with us. Visual History of Korea by the Pulitzer Prize-winning photojournalist and columnist Hyungwon Kang is available now. Mr. Kang, thank you for stopping by again today.
Thank you for having me.